I'd like to start off my presentation today by asking for you for audience participation. So I'll ask if you're capable to please stand and choose a partner. And we have an odd number, so Dave, you might have to be my partner in this one.
So me and you.
All right, so we're in pairs. So to make it easy, the person with the last name that's earliest in the alphabet will be number 1.
You're number 1.
Okay, now the first action item, raise your right hand and put it up against your partner's hand. And then on the count of 3, the person that's number 1 is gonna push. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
That's all you got.
Now what's interesting about that exercise is there was some commentary that I picked up. One person did not push back, took their hand completely out of the way. The other person almost fell down. Byron had asked, are we supposed to push back? Now the point of this story, again, is what happens when we push others. And the majority of us pushed back. Now just think about that and apply that to your presentations, your public speaking. And even go a bit deeper. Think about the times you've been in an audience where you have pushed back against the presenter on their message. Now think of why that happened. Did they engage you right away? Did they present their information in terms that matter to you? Well, think about that for a moment. It's human behavior. When we are pushed, we push back. So that's a lesson that we can apply in all of our communications, not only in public speaking in front of an audience, but within small teams at work. Anytime we need to persuade someone to take action, think of this exercise you just went through. And again, will you achieve your results by pushing on someone? Now, I'll be the first to admit, I didn't become a master overnight. This is an issue that I had to deal with. I always came to the presentations thinking I was the expert and I knew everything. And I would get up in front of the room and I would tell each and every person, I know what you're doing wrong, just listen to me. How do you think that went over? They didn't tell me to my face, but most likely when they left, they blocked out all the information I had shared during that presentation, never to be seen from again. And that's where recently I became enlightened. I've done a little self-awareness as far as my presentation skills, my authenticity as a presenter. And again, where can I be more effective in my communication? And part of it is, again, persuasion, motivation. What blocks am I implementing and putting in front of myself in order to achieve my goal of sharing my message in order for action to be taken? So how can you apply this in your communication? I would challenge you. Part of it is being conversational as a speaker. But how does that happen? Well, John Maxwell sent me an email today. Maybe he sent you an email as well. His Minute with Maxwell, which has hundreds of thousands of members. He says the question he likes to ask is why? Why is it this way? Why are you acting in this behavior? Why did you reach this decision? And again, that opens us up to sharing more information, as well as helping us see others' points of view, understand what they are thinking. Which is very interesting. I'm educating myself on learning to write nonfiction. And what's interesting is that many authors let you know the characters, let you know them more on a personal basis by letting you know what's ticking and what they're thinking inside their head. This is much different than most of our human interactions. Oftentimes you don't have the presenter up here telling you what exactly is happening at that moment in time. So there's a bit of a disconnect. And that's the same with audience members, the engagement factors. So part of being a better effective presenter and communicator is developing your speech and content to put into your presentation ways to engage the audience. As the example I presented today, getting your audience to stand up and participate, again, creates movement, interaction, but again, you have to provide very detailed instructions, or it could go off course. They could begin chatting about the news, the weather. So again, this is where, depending on your time, you have to be very precise in your messaging. And that's where, as an example, that presentation was done before, and that's where it went off the rail, and that's where I thought about it. What can I bring to the table? What can I do when I share it today to clarify the steps? So if you know how precise I was, what did I ask you to determine who went first? Last name. And that's where I said, whoever came first in the alphabet, I made that decision. Because oftentimes when you ask an audience, and again, in any presentation, when you ask questions of the audience, if you're not very specific in how you want them to answer, you'll confuse them, and you'll lose your ability to motivate. And that's where if I ask a rhetorical question and the audience starts giving me answers, then I've lost my messaging. So these easy to implement steps are areas that I would just challenge you to incorporate as you start developing content for your next presentation, because you have the power to be inspirational. You have the power to be a better communicator and a better conversationalist in front of a room. And I look forward to hearing your messages in future presentations. Thank you.